Alright, so we got a bunch of books to read, so here's for another episode of Reading with Goodlike. Let's see. I believe we've read these in history and Danid Kaup. Sarah's notes, yes. Duties and goals of the log. Yeah, this is the first one we haven't read. Alright, let's do this. The actions of the secret organization which united sorceresses from the northern kingdoms and Nilfgaard were revealed relatively late. The 10-member lodge had been envisioned as a successor to the Conclave and the Supreme Council of Sorcerers. It was supposed to focus on the interests of magic and protect the world from the cataclysm that would result from the disappearance of the art. However, at the time the story was unfolding, not many knew the organization even existed. Apart from the sorceresses belonging to it, of course. What are these runes of power? Book of Magic Science, Volume 1. The rune of the art resembles a hop. The rune of war looks like a clenched fist. The rune of thunder is a faithful representation of a striking lightning bolt. The rune of death resembles scythe. The rune of the sky is a line with a parallelogram, or as some would have it, a pursed mouth. The rune of a butterfly is a line crossed twice. The rune of life looks like a blooming flower. The rune of the animal resembles a snake creeping along a river. Red rune of fate is a cross within its circle. The rune of weather is an arrow sliced in half. The rune of reason looks like a bear dancing on dew. The rune of time resembles an open hourglass or a chalice. Okay. The rose and the flame. This knightly brotherhood originating in Temeria initially followed sublime ideas. It could not have been otherwise. It was founded on the basis of fighting corruption and depravity in the Order of the White Rose. A declining association that, in effect of these reforms, was then transformed into the Order of the Flaming Rose. Unfortunately, strong racist tendencies, even strengthened by the leadership of Jax the Aldersberg, turned the new order into a nest of intolerance. Its role in the Vizima rebellion still remains morally ambiguous. Not really. It's not really ambiguous. The Nilfgaardian provinces. The Empire of Nilfgaard is the largest state in the known world, its rule extending over more than a dozen provinces. It has conquered all the realms south of the Amel Mountains and united them under the one crown. Black imperial standards adorned with a golden sun flutter over buildings and outposts from the Yaruga River in the north to Vicovaro in the south, and the mountain massif of Tir Tohir in the east. The Empire's mighty armies lie in wait, ready to bring death at their ruler's command or to die eagerly in his name. The Black One's continued march northward was last stopped several years ago. Through the united effort of the northern kingdoms and the sacrifice of much blood at Brenna. Yet, peering across the Yaruga on a bright day, one can still see the dark cloaks and the sun glancing off the points of their lances. Horrors of war, rot fiends. Given that they are necrophages, rot fiends feed on carrion and human corpses, but this does not mean that they do not attack the living. They appear on battlefields near cities afflicted by plague, or around villages touched by famine. See a rot fiend and you can be sure there are many more in the area. They appear of a sudden and disappear even more quickly if threatened, so exterminating them is difficult. Trapping rot fiends makes little or no sense. Instead, they are best dealt with by cutting off their food supply, that is, burning all corpses in the area. Corpses must be incinerated rather than buried, for rot fiends are avid and skillful diggers. Without sustenance, the beast will leave in search of new feeding grounds. The Grand Triple. Great Melitele is among others the patron of love, marriage, fertility, nature, and abundance. Her cult came to be through the blending of those beliefs many different races and cultures held about these aspects of life. Melitele's popularity never waned, and the phenomenon is explained in various ways. I think the causes are prosaic myself. The cult of Melitele is a predominantly woman cult, and the goddess is, among others, the protector of women in childbirth. A delivering woman has to scream, and, apart from the usual yells and empty promises that she will never give herself to another mangy man again, the woman has to call some deity for help. And Melitele fits the bill perfectly, because women were deliver, and will be delivering. The goddess Melitele does not have to worry about a lowering of the number of worshippers. The art of magic. The power the sorceress can command is commonly called magic. In the opinion of a certain sorceress I'm acquainted with, magic is chaos, an art and a science, a curse, a blessing and progress, and a lot of many other things, which I will not list for the sake of brevity. However poetic it may sound, it is hard to find a better simian. Everything depends on the person that uses the power, of course. Still, it is a fact that it can be used to achieve things not possible to normal humans. The witches' signs are also a form of magic, but sorcerers look at them with disdain, since they cannot be compared to the forces the sorcerers themselves command, even though they perfectly fine work against said sorcerers, so eat that. Without magic, our world would certainly be less interesting, and many beautiful things would be forgotten. I don't know. Would also be less assholes. Might be a sacrifice wood making. Marshall Millen Ropnek. Not much apart from memories of its former glory remain of Lochmuir, an elven city situated along the upper reaches of the Pontar, amidst the peaks of the Blue Mountains. It must at one time have been of breathtaking sight emerging from the morning mists. Today, only white ruins mark where it once proudly stood. Centuries ago, it was here that the sorcerer Geoffrey Monk brought with him the Sources, a group of human children with a gift for the power, to hand them over to the elven sages for training. He managed to overcome the distrust of this elder race, and it seemed that a path to coexistence and cooperation between humans and elves had been opened. Yet history took an altogether different course. A few years later, Redanian armies massacred Lochmuir's population, killing all the elves regardless of gender or age. Thus began a war that ended with Aelirn's uprising and the massacre at Sharaved, after which most of the surviving elves retreated east into the inaccessible Blue Mountains. Goddamn Redanians, you bunch of assholes. Magic and power. More about it. Sorcerer is the name customarily applied to male persons capable of commanding the power. Though it is but one of the many terms or phrases, most of them held highly unflattering, to have been used over the ages. These terms have ranged from the rather respectful title of Wise One to the somewhat less specific Bloody Son of a Bitch, the Plague Take Him. As for women of this persuasion, that is sorceresses, they have been called everything from Archmistress to a colloquial expression I will not repeat out of regard for the language and respect for the female gender. The command of the power these mages possess sets them above mere mortals, which can be good or bad. From the dawn of time, history remembers mages either as pure-intentioned and courageous heroes, or as rogues bereft of reverence and faith. Human memory tends to remember the latter for longer, which may be why common folk mostly hold people of this profession in contempt. How to kill a bulwar. Have the cave swallow it. Or The bulwark can be compared to a heap of muscles contained within a flexible yet durable hide. It has the head of a buffalo, yet its mouth is filled with sharp teeth perfectly suited to rending flesh. Bulwars are post-conjunction beasts. Visible marks of chaos include the creature's horns and the vestigial, largely movable limbs that cover its body. Harpies, daughters of the Gale. There are many species of harpy, and all are kleptomaniacs. Though some steal dreams instead of trinkets, they especially like dreams laden with strong emotions, such as nightmares that recur every night. The victims lose their dreams, which can actually be a blessing where nightmares are concerned, and the harpies encase them in crystals, creating items that strongly radiate magic. Mages desire the dreams these creatures steal. They are even known to breed harpies on perches with a view towards filching their booty at daybreak. Yet it is rare for dream or nightmare to be powerful enough or to come from a powerful enough creature to satisfy the desires of a mage. He who would destroy a harpy's nest perched atop a rocky ledge must set a special, glistening explosive trap. When the harpy snatches its loot, the charge is detonated and anything that survives the explosion is dealt with by gravity. The eternal foe of all avian creatures. Hey, here's some about gargoyles. Theorists of magic still argue about how gargoyles should be classified. This author favors the school which claims they are a type of golem. For gargoyles are nothing more than fancy sculptures brought to life by magic in order to perform menial duties. They can complete only the most rudimentary tasks, so they are often found guarding a territory even if their creator turned to dust long ago. He who seeks to deactivate the creatures permanently must first locate the place from which they are controlled. Once there, he extinguishes the magic runes that control the constructor's will. Der Hinner's Memoirs. I find the study of bacteria interesting, but focusing on a single subject affects me poorly. I'm also plagued by a lack of company and a terrible cough. Not of other people, who are almost always troublesome ignoramuses, but of someone with whom I could converse at my level. I decided to work on one of the golems and attempt to expand its ability to think and converse. The latter proved simple, yet time will tell if having it memorize poems and philosophical treatises was a good idea. For now I play at riddles with it, codifying on a single tablet. The ability to think properly and logically was the true challenge. I'm still having trouble simulating common sense. All of my attempts thus far have ended in semantic overload. I am, however, certain that logical axioms will suffice as the most basic rule of thinking. Bruxa, Logistics of Death. The Bruxa is a higher vampire, that is a post-conjunction creature, an intruder in our world. She assumes the form of a beautiful woman, and then turns terrifying when she grows hungry and attacks. As befits a vampire, the Bruxa drinks blood. The victim of a Bruxa is often both her lover and her chief source of sustenance. Beings of the element of Earth. The Earth Elemental is the younger brother of the legendary Tao, a genie capable of creating earthquakes and flattening mountains. Younger means less powerful, but also more mischievous, felling trees, toppling the walls of buildings, and crushing people into a pulp, number among this creature's pranks. Of course, it performs only those its master wishes it to. Alright, well that concludes random bunch of books. Thank you guys for listening to the reading. I must get back and do stuff. Yeah.